Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome to another video on my channel, Hairliciously. If you guys are new, please make sure to subscribe to stay updated on hair loss driven topics and my second hair transplant journey progress. If you guys are losing hair, please make sure to visit my website at HAIRLICIOUSLY.com to grab your microneedling devices, which is scientifically proven to stimulate hair growth, my low-level laser therapy cap, DHT blocking shampoo, vitamin supplements, and a few other products that will help with hair growth. Now, today's video topic is going to cover the question of whether somebody who is fully bald, a straight up Norwood 6 or Norwood 7, is capable of getting a full head of hair. Unfortunately, a good percentage of men as young as in their early 20s are going to be afflicted with moderate to severe hair loss. And it's not too uncommon to see younger men with aggressive hair loss, and especially in today's generation, younger men seem to be dealing with this issue more than their predecessors. Some may choose to give in to hair loss and completely shave their head. Others may try to offer hair pieces, but most likely than not, if you're watching my channel, you are looking for ways to get your hair back and prevent further hair loss. So in this video, I wanted to let you guys know that not all hope is lost, even if you guys are in Norwood 6 or Norwood 7. However, there are going to be certain criteria that one must meet in order to be a good candidate. As you guys already know, a hair transplant isn't going to give you guys more hair. It's simply extracting hairs from one area and, the back of the scalp and then implanting them into balding areas. You are literally just redistributing hairs. So the total hair count is not going to change, and pretty much a hair transplant literally just creates an illusion of a full head of hair. As long as the density is about 50% of the actual density. This obviously would depend on each person and his or her hair characteristics, such as number of hairs, hair thickness, the length, color, curliness, etc. But loosely put, achieving about a 50% density would technically create an illusion or the impression of fullness. The nice thing about the donor or the occipital zone is that the hairs are typically thicker than the frontal hair, which means that the increase in radius leads to a more geometric increase in volume. The current issue right now with hair transplantation, at least for those with a more advanced type of hair loss, is the finite number of grafts. If we literally had an infinite number of hair grafts, everybody balding wouldn't have to worry about hair loss as long as they had money, because they can simply get multiple hair transplants over and over again until their desired hair density and coverage. However, this is the main reason why people are still bald, because we can only extract a certain number of grafts from the donor zone and redistribute it to balding areas. If the donor zone is over-harvested, it can also result in a thin appearance in the back of the scalp. So on average, a person can expect to have between 3,000 to 7,000, 8,000 grafts extracted via FUE. And if it's done in conjunction with an FUT, you guys can actually yield more grafts. But even if people utilize the FUT and an FUE, if you're suffering from a Norwood 7, it's simply not going to help because there's so much to cover. And this is the main reason why we have companies looking to stem cell replication, Dr. Suji and Shiseido, so that they can create an infinite number of grafts to be implanted into the scalp. So how exactly does a Norwood 7 go to a Norwood 1? You guys probably figured out by now from the title, but it's with an alternate source of hair other than the scalp. This would include things like beard hair, chest hair, leg hair, arm hair, back hair. Some people might even use pubic hair. There are a few negative points about using body hair transplants to the scalp. First, the quality is not going to be the same. It's going to be very different compared to scalp hair. It's not the same thickness, it has different texture, and it might even have a different curvature. And it can also grow a lot slower or not as long as scalp hair. So a lot of people typically keep their hair short if they end up getting body hair transplants. And this is particularly the case with beard hair, since we all know that beard is a lot more coarser and thicker compared to scalp hair, and they usually only come in single grafts. Because of the fact that they are thicker than scalp hair, it actually works greater for added density and coverage towards the back of the hair. So you obviously don't want to put it into the frontal hairline or the temporal points. If you guys are actually reinforcing it in the mid-scalp and even in the crown, it can actually work wonders in creating fullness and the illusion of density. So the best results typically come from using the limited donor scalp hair into the hairline to create a more natural result, and then reinforcing body hairs into the areas behind the hairline for added density. I do have to mention that the final yield also is a lot lower for a body hair transplant than an FUT or an FUE done on the scalp. Body hairs typically can range anywhere as low as 30 to 70%, as a lot of the grafts can get damaged during the extraction, which is more so for body hair than beard hair. Now in a few minutes, I'm also going to show you guys some amazing before and after photos of people with a Norwood 6 or a Norwood 7 type of hair loss that is going to be transferred into a Norwood 1 to a Norwood 2. But let me briefly explain the logic behind the donor site and the need for body hair. On average, I say average because people have different head sizes, different hair follicle characteristics, different grafts, different hair number of grafts per unit. But roughly, each person has about 50,000 to 60,000 follicular units on the scalp, which is anywhere from 100,000 to 120,000 hair follicles, assuming about 2 hair follicles per unit. To keep calculations easy, let's stick with 50,000. Out of the 50,000 follicular units, 75% of the hairs are in the frontal region and the vertex. This gives us a 25% in the permanent donor zone, which is roughly about 12,500 follicular units. And since we have to take 50% of the donor zone to create an illusion of a full head of hair, that leaves us with half of 12,500, which is about 6,250 follicular units available for hair transplantation via FUE to cover balding areas on the scalp. Since a Norwood 6 or a Norwood 7 would have lost hair in the frontal and vertex, which represents about 75% of hair loss, this means even with the 6,250 follicular units implanted, that would technically only achieve a density under 20%, which is far below the optimal density for the illusion of a full head of hair. You can offer FUT and an FUE and yield more grafts, as in the case with Joe Tillman or Dave DeMuzio, where they were both Norwood 6s, possibly Norwood 7, and they yielded anywhere from 25,000 to 27,000 hair follicles, which is roughly 8 to 10,000 grafts. But like I said, not everybody is going to have good hair characteristics and density and scalp laxity, and therefore a lot of people are not going to be able to achieve 7,000, 8,000 grafts. And even with such a high number of grafts, most people aren't going to achieve such good density. Even Joe Tillman and Dave DeMuzio still have to use concealers, style the hairs in certain ways, use hair fibers, SMP, and this is when body hair transplants come into play. Here are some before and after photos of people who use body hair transplants on their scalps to add density and coverage, and the results, I think, in my opinion, are pretty good, but it can't ever replace scalp hair. So this first guy was featured on Dr. Umar's website. He is a hair transplant doctor out in Newport in California, and he does both FUEs and body hair transplants. So this guy is clearly a Norwood 7, and he was actually turned away from many hair restoration clinics because of his severe hair loss. He used to wear a hairpiece to conceal his hair loss, and eventually he wanted to be liberated and wanted the freedom of permanent real hair. So he ended up getting a whopping 10,500 grafts from the limited donor zone on the back of his scalp, beard, and body hair. And these are the final results. There's a lot of good coverage and looks a lot better than before, but obviously not as realistic as scalp hair, and due to the extensiveness of his hair loss, he ended up with a very high hairline and no reconstruction on the temporal points. So, I mean, in this case, I don't think the results are that good, but for him, he wanted it to actually have hair instead of being bald, so it worked out for him. Now, this next guy was another patient from Dr. Umar. He was a Norwood 6. He ended up getting 25,000 hair grafts extracted from his head, beard, chest, abdomen, arms, and legs, and was completed in 3 different sessions. And the results, as you guys can see, is truly amazing. And he not only increased his density all throughout his scalp, but he also rebuilt his frontal hairline, giving him that youthful appearance that frames his face really well. So good job on this one. Now this last one, this guy had 20,000 grafts done in 2 sessions. 5,500 grafts from his head donor zone, and then 15,000 from the nape, beard, chest, abdomen, legs, and arms. This also is a great example of utilizing body hair transplants for those who lack scalp hair. He ended up going from a Norwood 7 to literally a Norwood 1 with 20,000 grafts with good density. I think this is probably one of the best results that I've seen so far. I'm super happy for this guy, and I'm pretty sure that he is too. So in conclusion, there are options even for those with advanced hair loss, provided that you guys meet certain requirements in terms of hair characteristics, density, hair texture, and a lot of body hair. Not everybody is a good candidate, as you guys can tell, but if you guys do have good body hair and are looking for ways to add in density and coverage, body hair transplants may be a viable option. The costs are obviously going to be more expensive than FUEs and FUTs. The survival rate is also going to be a lot lower. And the hair characteristics are going to be different compared to scalp hair. But I think it is a good option for those who are looking for ways to obtain more hair on their scalps when their donor zones are lacking. That's pretty much it for today, guys. If you guys are looking for a good hair transplant clinic, check out Motion Clinic in South Korea, where I got my second hair transplant done. They offer free consultations, and so far I'm pretty satisfied with the results. You can get their contact information in the description box below. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Take care.